Okay, so this is using units of measurement part 3, and we're going to practice density calculations in this video. The formula for density is density equals mass per volume. And we can rearrange this formula to solve for mass or volume if we just use the algebraic equivalence as shown here. So mass can equal density times volume, or volume can equal mass divided by density. Let's look at some practice problems for how we approach these. So in this sample, if I know a substance, let me get my pen in the right position. Awesome. So if I know that a substance has a volume of 10.5 and a mass of 81.9, I can calculate the density by dividing those two values. So I would say set up my density equation first and divide 81.9 by 10.5 on my calculator, and I would get 7.8 grams per centimeters cubed. If the question says what is the mass of a liquid with a density of 0.768 and a volume of 237 milliliters, we would say mass equals density times volume and multiply these two values, which would cancel out milliliters, and then I would be left with 182 grams when I did that problem using a calculator. So let's figure out this one. Using the density for use the density formula. So a substance with a volume of 60.5 and density of 1.2, what is the mass? So we would say mass equals density times volume. Density times volume. And my which would equal 1.2 grams per milliliter times 60.5 milliliters. And if I did that with my calculator, 1.2 times 60.5 milliliters would cancel each other, and I would be left with grams. So let's try do that with your calculator. Next example, a 4.80 gram piece of magnesium displaces 2.76 milliliters of water. What is the density? So I know that, let's do this one on this side. Density equals the grams per milliliter. So grams, so mass divided by volume. Grams is mass, and milliliters is volume. So we would say 4.8 G divided by 2.76 milliliters would be the answer on your calculator, grams per milliliter. Just divide 4.80 divided by 2.76. And what do you get? Lastly, if I want if I know the density and the volume, what amount of space? So if I want to know volume, how much gas would that occupy? So let's go back and recall that to calculate volume, I do mass divided by density. Okay, so my volume equals mass divided by density. So we would say 23.8 is the mass, and it occupies, its density is 0.68 grams per milliliter. Then grams will cancel, and I'm smooth with this pen. I will have to divide 23.8 by 0.68 and be left with a unit of milliliters for my volume. So do that all with your calculator and put your answers right there. Lastly, in this exploration here, when liquids with different densities are combined, the liquid with the lower density floats on top of the liquid with higher density. This can be explained mathematically because as the mass of a sample of the substance increases or decreases, its volume increases or decreases in a proportionate way. So we see this liquid over here is very dense. This liquid over here, not as dense. This is fun to do. Try it out on a test tube with different liquids. This might be soap, this might be water, this might be maple syrup, and we'll see they will all go to different levels. So on page 15, let's complete the statements. And if the student measured two liquids, liquid 1 had a mass of 107 and volume of 102 milliliters. Liquid 2 had a mass of 166 grams and a volume of 125. So liquid 1 is more dense or less dense than liquid 2. So let's see. If I divided grams per milliliter, right? Which number would be larger? 107 divided by 102 is a value pretty close to 1 point something grams per milliliter. And if I did 106 divided by 125, let's just think through the math here. I know this number would be a value less than 1. It would be 0 point something grams per milliliter. Give me a minute and then I'll be right with you guys. I'm almost done. Okay. And then, so I know liquid 1 would be what? Lower or higher? I think higher. And will it float or sink? If liquid 1 is more dense, we should say that it should sink.